All right. Here we go, guys and gals. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, drivers.
And we're live for the Loose Wheel Show, episode 2 of season 3. I'm joined here, as always, by Ethan Ignatowski.
What's up, everyone?
And joining us this week, we have host of Fuel for Thought and winner of the Ben Paris Sweepstakes 2025, Eric List.
What's up? Thanks for having me, guys. It's going to be fun. Co-host of Fuel for Thought. Cooper usually sits there. I just run my mouth.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, Eric.
Thanks for letting me join, guys. I'm
first
excited.
time on the show, so we're going to be doing essentially what we did last week with Formula One, but now for NASCAR, kind of going over all the major news stories that we missed while we were on our sabbatical. And we're just going to jump into it straight out of the gate because we have a ton of stuff to go over. And we're going to start off with probably the biggest news story of the year for NASCAR, really, with the 2311 and front row injunction. And now for the news. Andrew, can you update us, all us confused motorsports fans who want to know what exactly is going on? What does this injunction even mean?
It means that they can race as chartered teams in the 2025 season, and they basically signed the agreement. They're still suing NASCAR for that monopoly, which we'll see how that goes. That's going to happen next off season, so look forward to that. So basically, they can run
court news.
Yeah. So that's basically it. There was a thread from Bob Procris that I should have saved, but I didn't. I don't think I did. And explaining it all, you can probably find it on his Twitter. I did not. I did save a different Bob Procris tweet for later, but I did not appear to save that.
Wrong thread.
Yeah, wrong thread. So yeah, basically, at the end of the day, it's good. It's. I don't know if it's the right decision because I'm not a lawyer, but it allows the teams to race safely without having to miss races, and with the Daytona 500 being over 40 cars and I think 44 right now, and possibly climbing, that's huge because you don't want to be losing out on the season's biggest payday.
Right, and just, as you said, none of us are lawyers. We don't have any special legal insight into this, but just on the bare bones level, the fact that they're racing as charters seems to be, at least for the teams, a big win for right now. Like you said, we're going to know more next off season, but at least, these teams aren't being cast to the side for the 2025 season.
I think it's the best possible outcome you could have hoped for if you're front row or 2311. The fact that, okay, at least we get to race, we get the comfortability of a charter, even though, we're fighting a legal battle. I think it's good for them. It's good for NASCAR in the sense of it is, but it isn't. NASCAR as a sport doesn't like because it's going to force them to fully have to admit, okay, here's, what our books look like. Here's, everything we do. It's going to force NASCAR to, I think, do a lot of stuff they probably didn't. But I think it's a lot of stuff that if this lawsuit goes the right way, and I'm sure you guys probably talked about it, that will make the sport better. So in the long run, I think them getting this injunction and getting to run as a charter team is a very good thing for this year, and it'll just further help grow the sport.
Yeah.
And next couple of news stories, sticking with front row. The news came out while we were gone that Zane Smith is returning to the team for the 2025 season.
Yeah, he spent a year at Spire with Trackhouse. If you had asked me a year ago, I would have thought, yeah, Zane Smith's probably going to get a Trackhouse seat soon. But with Connor Zilic coming in and SVG doing well, he kind of got pushed aside, which is unfortunate. Zane Smith is a talented driver. We've seen him win the Truck Series championship with Front Row in the past. he did those few races at, I think, 2023 with front row, replacing Todd Gilliland that one for a few races, which was weird. So that's something that I think the team already knows the driver and is confident with the driver. So I think this could be a sleeper pairing moving forward.
I think it'll be really fun to watch. I can't fully remember how he did this past season, all of his stats were, but I think he's definitely made a guy, like you said, that's a sleeper to watch that will be fighting for top fives, fighting for wins, and if they can get that car feeling really good for him, I think he'll be a big threat come, end of the year.
Yeah, he didn't have like a super great season or anything. He did have some standout performances though. Had a second at Nashville, fifth at Watkins Glen. Few top tens, but yeah, in a better position going forward. And his teammate Noah Gragson also in the news a little bit. Andrew, I know you're a huge numbers guy. He's gonna be revealed to be rocking the number 4.
I was hoping they would run a 36 to have 34, 36, 38. More continuity. That's what they did in the past when they had Matt Tifft in that third car in, I want to say 2019, if my memory serves me right. That was just something I would have preferred, but it will be weird to see the 4 not as a Stewart-Haas car.
It is. It's going to be weird. It's the same way. It'll be weird not to see the 4 Stewart-Haas cars the same way it was weird not seeing the 18 return to NASCAR. Well, return out there as a car on the grid. Noah Gragson will be interesting to watch. He was solid this year. He wasn't, anything that was mind-bogglingly great, but he was solid. He was usually a consistent top 20, would battle for top 10s. It'll be interesting to see what he can do with this new change, with a new team. But I think Noah Gragson's got talent. We'll see though. I don't fully know where I want to stand on him yet.
Yeah, and him going up against Zane Smith and that team, I think it's good test, I suppose.
Yeah, Todd Gilliland there as well. He's been around for a couple of years now. I think third. I don't know. But it'll be a good measure of talent.
Yeah.
And he had a good measure of talent last year with Briscoe, Barry, and Preece, which I think I know he beat Preece, but I think he beat Barry as well, if memory does serve me right.
It'll be interesting if he can kind of bring front row back to some of its glory days and return them to some prominence, which feels like they haven't had since, Truex won him a championship back in 2017.
I think you're thinking of Furniture Row.
Sorry, yes, that is what I'm thinking of. Sorry. Yeah. Yes, that is what I'm thinking of. My bad. Thank you.
All the
front row, Furniture Row. Yes, Furniture Row got out. Either way, it'll still be interesting to see if he can kind of elevate front row either way. Yeah. Front row, Furniture Row. They're both. Furniture Row ran well with Martin Truex Jr. and front row has been up and down. It'll be interesting he can kind of bring a new element to that team.
But we like this lineup for front row, kind of going into I don't know if you want to call it a new era. That seems a little too much maybe, but new. They got their guys. Think this moves them up the grid?
It could, but you also see Spire, who's looking to move up the grid, and who's going to be moving down the grid. I don't really see anyone. I know someone has to fill Stewart-Haas, but I think that's going to be more Spire instead of front row.
Okay.
I think.
Only time will tell with that. Moving on now to Rick Ware Racing. Cody Ware elevated to the full-time seat with the number 51 car. Andrew, thoughts on that?
Well,
I know you have a lot of thoughts on that one.
One word. Nepotism.
Yeah, that's I could have guessed that.
Yeah.
Cody Ware has never been anything special in his very long tenure in the Cup Series. I think he's been around since like 2016 and in some capacity driving a few Cup starts every year for his dad's team. And he's basically Lance Stroll, but calling him Lance Stroll is a disservice to Lance Stroll. So
That's a good way to put it.
That's
though.
extreme, but
It gets the picture across because you're not wrong. He is Lance Stroll, except he's half the money and half the talent. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine half the money. I guess I don't know
He's
numbers, but I'd
the-
imagine half the money.
he's the Nicholas Latifi of Lance Strolls.
Jeez.
is that what
Yeah.
we're thinking here?
yeah. With that being said, it's just if Rick Ware Racing wanted to move up the grid, hiring Cody Ware is not the move.
This is a very clear example of funding my son's dream.
Correct.
Yes.
Which, I mean, look, if you have the money and you're look, we just, you know,
If you want to do this and your son wants to do this and you have the money, you might as well.
you might as well. Like,
I got
talent aside, I can't blame it. Do I love that this is happening? No, but I can't blame
Hey,
the
it's a car in
guys.
the field that'll finish last every week, but you know,
Yeah.
maybe he'll luck into something.
And for that, we're giving Rick Ware Racing the Chicken Award this week for their very questionable choice of driver, because there's plenty of other drivers that I think could pretty much anyone that's driving a NASCAR Cup, Xfinity. I'm not gonna say Truck Series, but anyone from those top two series full time this year might do a better job than Cody Ware.
I think they would do a better job.
And I'd like to point out, you know, in case anyone isn't aware, this is the only car that's being run by Rick Ware Racing. There's not like a second driver kind of redeeming the team.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, all or nothing, and
They-
the horse you're backing is Cody Ware.
They might run a non-chartered car for a few races,
Yeah, but full time.
but full time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one thing when they had 4 entries on the grid. I with the 51, 52, 53, 54.
Yeah,
that was
There-
cool
there
to
you
see
go
on
with
the numbers.
your numbers.
The
in a
numbers
row.
and I did like that, but not much else to say there.
No.
Yeah. We got some more jargony stuff coming up with NASCAR adding an open exemption provisional, which, Andrew, you've said that tweaks DVP.
No, those are 2 different things.
Those are 2 different things.
3 different
Okay,
things,
3 different
actually.
things. I'm going to need you to explain all this, the tweaks of the DVP, the playoff waivers in the rule book. What's all this stuff?
So let's start simple. DVP, it used to be you have to make your cars on repairs on pit road, otherwise you're out of the race within a certain time.
10 minutes, right?
They keep on changing it. I can't
Okay.
keep up. I think it's 7 now.
It's 7.
7 minutes.
It was originally 5, then it moved to 6, then it moved to
It's
10, and
7.
then now it's back. This is one of the rules in the rule book, certainly. But now that you can go back to the garage, take as much time as you need to repair your car before bringing it back out. But you still have that repair on pit road rule. So if you're doing something that takes a lot of time, you have to go back to the garage. I think this is a good change. Brings back just instead of being in rushing your repairs, you can get them when you need them. It just doesn't force things. You know what I'm saying?
I'm in favor of this, kind of. I think it's going to allow teams to get back out there, but I think you're going to see a lot of cars that'll be back out there damaged, dropping pieces. You're going to get what NASCAR didn't like. Well, okay, didn't like. They're probably trying to bring it back because they want more debris cautions. You're going to get more debris cautions because you're going to get parts coming off a car that either, you know, they're just trying to get them back out there to get points and it's not ready. But I think something need to be done with the overhaul because if you got all 4 flats and your car's fine, but you're out because of that reason, okay, that's kind of Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, that was an issue at the end of last year. I know you had Rodney Childress complaining about it on Twitter
Yeah.
among other people. So I think that's a change that was needed to be made in some way. The playoff waiver change is instead of look at the Kyle Larson situation from last year. What he did was skip a NASCAR race to go run another race. now if you do that, you lose all your playoff points, and if you miss a race for any reason that's not medical or family emergency stuff, you lose all of your playoff points. So if you get suspended, all your playoff points gone just like that. So, and then if you miss a race for going to do other stuff, which both of these, I think a lot of people would like the suspension thing, and is that if you do something kind of stupid like Chase Elliott did at right rear hook Denny Hamlin at Charlotte that one year.
I brought that up to Cooper when we were talking about this one.
Cooper's a Chase Elliott fan, for those who don't know. And Bubba Wallace doing the same thing to Denny Hamlin, Las Vegas 2023? 22, I think.
Yeah.
One of those years. So I think those actions should have further consequences than just a one race suspension.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good thing, and I think many other fans would agree. I don't know. I can't speak for you two, but
I'm in favor of that. Taking the more severe consequences for dirty plays, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm indifferent. I like it. I don't like it. I think it's good for the fact that if you go and do something stupid and boneheaded where you go and intentionally turn someone, you gotta pay the piper. You did something stupid. You're gonna get your points taken away. That's how it goes. I think the big thing that frustrated and probably started this was when Kyle Larson said, you're the priority. We want to come race the Coke 600. Yeah. Sorry. We'll make it once the Daytona 500, once the Indy 500 is over, and then we'll try to get out to Charlotte. I think if he was able to probably run the Indy 500 and then get out to Charlotte and have no issues, I don't think you'd see this rule. But the second that he was going to be late, he made an effort, but it wouldn't count because you have to make an effort to start and finish the race to not,
That's that part I'm with you, like, not loving that. I mean, look, I understand why NASCAR wants its drivers to, like, prioritize its races, of course. But also, for me, and I know for some other fans, like, watching Larson do the double, that brought more eyes. If the rain didn't mess everything up, that would have brought more eyes to the Coke 600 than not. Like if he wasn't doing the double. It's...
And he still can do the double.
Yeah.
He's just it can't rain out, and he can't have flight issues trying to get back to Charlotte.
And
but
that's
agree,
a lot
I
of
agree
variables,
with you.
and I don't know if he's gonna want to.
I mean, he's already set to run it again this year, right?
Yeah, he is this year.
But he said that before the rules were changed. So
I think he'll give it a shot.
I think he will. I'm kind of indifferent on this second part where you have to, like, I get it from NASCAR's perspective. You want to have it's the right move for NASCAR, the sanctioning body,
because you can't promote your star drivers and then have your star drivers not show up.
But I don't know if it's the right move for NASCAR, the sport.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We'll see. I don't think it's really would come into play anywhere else. Like, I don't think there's any big enough dirt races during the season, or
dirt races hardly ever happen on Sunday too.
Yeah,
that would conflict.
I don't think there would be any. I think the only other thing that could have a conflict where someone goes and does something else would be the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And I don't think many NASCAR drivers would do that anyway.
Is there any circumstance that you can think of where a NASCAR, like current NASCAR driver, has gone and done endurance racing instead of the scheduled race?
No.
But I mean, I know there are NASCAR drivers that have done it,
after retired.
Yeah, either before they were in the Cup Series or after they retired. But yeah, I don't think that's a major issue here.
Yeah.
The suspension thing will be really interesting to watch, though, because say you get suspended, 2 races in the season, well, your playoff points are all gone for the rest of the year. It'll make how you attack the rest of the regular season really interesting, though.
I think you'd have a lot of these guys going for wins more.
Yeah,
And
1,000%. Because what's going to happen if you don't win? You're not getting any points anyways.
Yeah. Trophies are cool.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I think in a
Money
way,
funds race teams.
you could argue that it's like an artificial way of doing it, but drivers going for wins should be like the entire point. Not racing for points, which that's a smart thing to do, and you can't fault them. They're playing the system, but you want to see, all out for the win.
Yeah. And then the final thing of this rule book change is that NASCAR adds the open exemption provisional. The main talking point is that NASCAR at any race of the season teams can file for this, and it's if your car misses the race, you make the show, but you don't earn any points or any prize money from racing. It's just racing for fun of it.
Mm-hmm. For the love of the game.
Which, for me, I don't know about you guys, I don't really love it because if you, well, this all comes from the locking 36 spots into the charters, which I don't like. Or at least do what IndyCar. I'd like NASCAR to at least do what IndyCar did and with the Daytona 500 make it so that no one's locked in. I think that could be interesting. But that's probably not going to change. But I feel like that's where it came from, just having that many spots locked in. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this ruling just because it just adds an extra car. Just because.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose for me, I don't have too much of a stake either way. Like, I understand what you're saying, though. Your opinion makes sense. I don't know. It's not like I could do with or without it. I suppose I'm with you because why do it just because, right? So I guess I'm with you, but yeah, it's not a huge deal for me personally.
Here's my thought on it, and this is something from listening to the teardown, just kind of what makes sense. Really, the only race where you're actually having to so again, you come to the Daytona 500, and that's maybe the one race where if you're trying to bring in a special guest driver, they have a chance of missing a race. Mm-hmm. There's no other real race on the schedule where you want to bring in so and so. They're gonna make the field. Is it maxed out? They're gonna make it. I don't know. I'm indifferent to it. It's there. I don't know. I'm indifferent to it. I don't think it makes the biggest difference in the world. I think it kind of makes it look stupid in some ways, but I guess it guarantees, hey, we want to bring so-and-so into the sport, and, well, they're guaranteed to start the Daytona 500, but every other race you're going to probably start anyways because NASCAR's not getting a full field of cars.
Yeah.
I think the only other race that has a chance at is a Coke 600 where you try to get an IndyCar driver to come to NASCAR, do the double.
Yeah.
But I think...
Other than that, there's not many races.
I could be wrong, but in the history of the double, I feel like it's been more NASCAR guys go. I think it's exclusively been NASCAR guys going to Indy than Indy guys going over to NASCAR.
I think you're right.
I could be wrong with that.
You don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
I might be completely off here, but like, I know there's talks about like, is the talks with Pato O'Ward racing in Mexico City? Is that trucks or?
It would be Xfinity because
okay.
Cup has conflicting race with IndyCar on that Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember exactly. So that doesn't apply to this at all. Never mind then.
But maybe if they try to get Sergio Perez into a car.
If he's not doing anything by then, yeah, maybe. I mean, I wonder what his.
I see Trackhouse doing it.
I mean, look, actually, that's a pretty interesting idea. Like, if he's not doing anything at that point, I mean, he's still with. I think he's like still technically with Red Bull as like an ambassador, quote unquote. ambassador.
The Daniel Ricciardo role.
Yeah, so like they would let him do it, I'm sure, and I'm sure if someone approached him like racing in front of home fans again, I'm sure he would be interested in that. So that would be pretty cool. I'd like to see that actually. But talking about a different open wheel racer now, Helio Castroneves, one of the most popular IndyCar drivers who has raced almost everything under the sun. IndyCars, IROC, Daytona 24 Hours. He raced a whole bunch of different stuff. 4-time Indy 500 winner. Has raced stock cars in his home of Brazil before, but now going to be making his first NASCAR start at the Daytona 500 with Trackhouse's Project 91.
First of all, it's cool to see Project 91 back.
Yeah.
And in a role where it's actually Project 91 instead of getting Shane Van Gisbergen a full-time ride.
Yeah.
Which, that's cool to see. But I'd like to see someone new, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, I love SVG, but
yeah,
this is pretty cool.
I do like. I think Elio. Well, this all started from SRX back in the day. There was a race at Five Flags Speedway where Elio wasn't full time, and I think he was invited by one of the I don't know, important people of SRX to do the race, and he said, "Okay, Elio, if you win the race, we're gonna put you in a Daytona 500 car next year." He did wind up winning that race. I think this was 2022. If memory serves me right, might have been 2023.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He did win one SRX race in 2022.
So probably that then. It would have been the opening round.
At
Five Flags. I think.
Yeah, he won that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he won that, and they couldn't get him a ride the initial year. And I honestly thought, it was probably never going to happen. But I like it happening. So, yeah, I think it's a cool ad. He'll be doing the ARCA race the day before. We'll see how that goes. He's got to qualify into that because ARCA is, from what I'm seeing, is probably going to have over 40 cars there.
Wow. Okay.
So that will be interesting.
An ARCA race with 40 cars.
Well, we had the first.
Daytona.
We had the first two races of last year where ARCA sent people home. Well, there were over 40 car races.
Wow. Okay.
So, I would presume we'd see that again. And to be honest, that Elio's car is a pinnacle car, which is one of the best cars in the series.
Here's the thing. Helio Castroneves is obviously an extremely talented racing driver. He's won all over the place. But he just simply doesn't have much experience in this format of racing. So, I mean, I would expect him to do good. But if he doesn't, it's not like it's the most surprising thing in the world.
Yeah. I mean, he should realistically, the goal should beat SVG on pace because that's about the similar level of experience.
I think it'll be fun to watch. I think this going back to what you talked about too, where you have that open provisional. This is where that works. Where you say, hey, we want to bring in Helio Castroneves and say he doesn't qualify. Well, we can make him that 41st starter just to say he made it. And I think that's where some of that open provisionals, what we were talking about, works. I don't think he's gonna need it. I think he'll qualify. I think the ARCA race will be a tell, but it's also ARCA. You could get crashed out in the first lap because someone's just being stupid, and that's ARCA, and you didn't do anything. And he's like, well, you're going to get one lap. So I think he'll qualify. I think he'll do okay. I think he can probably finish in the top. I want to say top 20. I think top 20 if he can stay clean all day. At least top 30.
Yeah.
I think it's good for the sport. It brings over a multi-time Indy 500 champion, a guy with a lot of pedigree. I think it'll get some people to at least tune in to just check out and see how he does.
Yeah, and not just a multi-time IndyCar champion, a guy who has a huge fan base.
Yes.
It's it brings a lot of new eyes to the 500.
How many 500s does he have, Indy?
4,
Yeah.
which is tied for most all time.
So like he'll bring over plenty of people.
Yeah.
And I think it's a different discipline. You're not coming in at one of the easier tracks because it's not, but I don't know. You can pick up drafting
and completely
kind of
different.
easily. Like you'll get some practice time to pick it up.
Yeah.
You're not having to do a lot of pedal work. You're pretty much just lifting. I'm probably sugarcoating it a little bit. It'll be difficult, but I think he's got that talent. He'll be okay.
And he has, oval experience.
Yeah.
It's not like he's learning a completely new type of circuit. Completely new car, yes.
I think the ability to, bump and bang will be slightly newer because you can't do that in IndyCar where you can kind of bump into each other in NASCAR and you're okay.
Yeah.
We're going to see a former NASCAR driver, Mike Wallace, who last raced in 2015, try to join Helio Castroneves and the rest of the drivers on the grid. He's chasing the Daytona 500, or a Daytona 500 start, I should say, with MBM Motorsports. Like I said, last race NASCAR 10 years ago. So he's been out for a while. Andrew, has he done any racing in between that you know of?
Well, he did some NASCAR Xfinity stuff in 2020. But if you read the thing below it on the itinerary, Ethan, that he was also not approved by NASCAR for the Daytona 500 attempt. And so now MBM, which is also randomly rebranding to Garage 66, by the way, is now trying to find a new driver. I didn't think he would really do well in the first place. I think he'd be a lock to miss the show. Well, I wouldn't say lock, but a likely lock to miss the show because he is just hasn't been in a car for a car of this size for so long, and it's a new car, and just MBM isn't great.
Approved.
Yeah, and I think it might be the right decision to approve it or to not approve them, but it's interesting because I can't remember the last time a driver was not approved to be racing.
Sure.
I can't either.
Yeah.
I think it's probably like a guy who I hadn't even actually heard of him coming in. I can't even think of. It sounds vaguely familiar. I can't think of anything notable he had done, and even when he raced. So I think it's probably the right call to not approve him.
Yeah. Sticking with the Daytona 500 news as we get closer and closer to the big race. Gonna hit 4 in a row here, and then we'll just kind of talk about it as all 4 at once. Martin Truex Jr. entering the 500 with Tricon Garage. Jimmy Johnson is going to be competing in the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600, and at least for now, that's all on his 2025 calendar for the NASCAR Cup Series. JR Motorsports is going to field a Daytona 500 entry for reigning Xfinity champion Justin Allgaier. And then last of this little stretch of news, Fast Pasta, Anthony Alfredo attempting 500 start with Beard Motorsports.
This is the most cars I think we've had since the first year of the charter agreement coming in and attempting the 500, which is good for the sport.
It's great for the sport.
Because if we're getting this interest from all these people, all these teams, that's huge. I know there's a couple legacy names like Truex and Jimmy Johnson who are just doing it for fun at this point. But
I think Truex will be really competitive.
I think he'll be competitive, but I was just saying is that this isn't the full-time gig anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But Truex with Tricon, that entry is going to be highly tied to Joe Gibbs. Will be Tricon's first start in the Cup Series if they make it. So at least first attempt. So that'll be interesting to see whether or not they have more entries throughout the year with other drivers, because I'd like to see new teams in the Cup Series.
I think it's needed.
Yeah, I think it's neat. And then we also, I think Toyota needs a competitive Cup team away from Gibbs because all 2311 and Gibbs are very tight, and if Toyota can get another team, that would make Toyota a lot stronger. And Toyota is often thought to have the most deep in terms of talent pool in the lower series, help Toyota to keep a lot of those drivers in house to a different Cup team. So I think that's something that I would like to see moving forward.
Who's backing Tricon Garage?
Like sponsorship or ownership?
A little of both. Who's the owner?
That's David Gilliland, and I think
Okay.
The Gray parents are also involved in that as well. And I know.
So I know, like, how competitive, like, how much money and competitive will this car be? It's not a Joe Gibbs ride. Like, they're gonna be helped by Joe Gibbs, but it's not a Joe Gibbs ride at the end of it. Like, how competitive will it be? I know with Truex behind the wheel, he can do anything, but
being a super speedway car, I don't think will be really noticed how off it will be. I don't think they'll be bad enough to say, "Oh man, this car's off pace. This is terrible."
Yeah.
But I think he'll be in the pack somewhere.
Yeah.
I
bet he leads a lap.
I think that's very likely of happening.
Okay.
I think we'll see what other starts Truex makes. Maybe in a 2311 car or something. I don't know, but I like seeing Truex just
I do
around.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he's obviously not doing full time anymore, but every time you see a guy like him jump back into a Cup car, you know, it's a nice treat to see for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then Jimmy Johnson with Legacy, not much to say there. He'll probably be in the lead group, the pack of probably 39 cars, and then one damaged car somewhere off the pace.
Yeah.
And then in the Coke 600, that would be his 700th career start if he makes both races. So that would be cool to see him hit that number. A lot of people online saying, "Oh, 700, he might retire after that." I don't know.
So.
I don't think so either. But something to keep an eye on. And I honestly think he might add more races at some point.
He did 5 this past year, didn't he?
I think he did more than that.
Was it 5 or 6?
Let's see.
I want to say 7.
Because he did
Phoenix.
He did Phoenix,
Las Vegas, Kansas, Indy, Charlotte, Daytona.
That's 6.
I might be forgetting. Did he do both Vegas races?
I don't think so.
I don't.
He did both of something because it wasn't both Phoenix.
Might have been both Kansas
So
races.
he did Daytona, Texas, Dover, Kansas, Coke 600, Indy, Kansas again, Vegas, and Phoenix.
9.
So 9.
Wow.
Okay, I was off.
So, I think he'll.
It's just a solid amount.
I don't think he'll do 9 this year, but I think he might add a few in there somewhere.
Yeah, going from 9, scaling it down to 2 over the whole year seems unlikely.
Yeah.
If
And
I had to guess.
and then those were only announced with Carvana, and then I don't know if you remember last year, the Carvana races were announced at one point, and then the Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, that was announced in a later time. So I think we might see more.
Yeah.
So.
God, that Carvana car was nice at Phoenix.
Yeah.
That was...
Won our paint scheme of the year last year.
I mean...
Yeah.
I think seeing it in person might have given it a little bit of an unfair advantage, but still, just that was a beautiful car and designed by a fan as well is such a cool touch. Yeah.
Sorry, no, that was off topic.
No,
Carvana, that was a nice car.
I'll talk about that car anytime I get to. That was an awesome car to see.
Definitely.
Yeah. I want to talk about Anthony Alfredo.
Well, let's talk about Justin Allgaier first.
Justin Allgaier first. All right.
Finally, we could see Dale Jr. in a car in a Cup Series. That's been talked about for so long, and we're finally seeing it.
I'm excited for this. I think Justin Allgaier and Junior Motorsports are ready. I think this will actually be a pretty competitive car. I think Justin Allgaier is a very competitive driver. We saw how well he did to be the Xfinity Series champion this year. I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what Justin Allgaier can do in the Daytona 500.
Yeah, me too.
I am too.
That's one of the guys I'm going to be watching the most.
I'm hoping to see this car and team for more races this year.
Honestly, I'd love to see Junior Motorsports get
Yeah.
a full to part-time Cup ride. I think that'd be great.
And I think it would be great for the sport to have Dale as an owner because that gets a lot of buzz. Dale
Yeah.
Jr. gets, of any living NASCAR personality that's related to NASCAR, I think in any way, Dale Jr.'s the biggest.
Oh, for sure.
The only thing that's really comparable is Lightning McQueen.
Honestly, yeah. Like
That's fair.
It's a
That's
funny
fair.
comparison to make, but I think it's 100% true. I mean, you go up to non-NASCAR fans, ask them to name a driver, and they're either not going to be able to name a driver or they're going to say Dale Jr. You know, you'll have
Maybe Jeff Gordon.
yeah, you'll have someone say Jeff Gordon probably, but like the majority of your answers are going to be Dale Jr. Like you said, that creates buzz from not only NASCAR fans, because everyone in the NASCAR community, for the most part, like just absolutely loves Dale Jr. So not only does that create buzz inside the community, but outside the community, with those people hearing that, you know, who knows how many of those people actually go and watch a race because of it, but it gets people talking, and from there, you can start to attract more fans. So, like you said, would be huge for the sport, I think.
I wish he bought a charter when he was considering like back 2017 when they were
Right.
only going for like $2 million instead of the
Only.
the $40 million now.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. That's it's not cheap, even
No.
for a guy like Dale Jr. and everything that comes with him.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm looking forward. Like you said, Eric, they'll be competitive
Oh yeah, I think
yeah.
of the four drivers we're talking about, I think Truex and Justin Allgaier will be the top two of this four. That'll be very competitive because Truex is retired, but he just ran the Daytona 500 last year. He just got out of it. Like he's not gonna miss a beat
Like,
to get back in a Cup car to run the 500 again. Justin Allgaier should be really good. Anthony Alfredo and
Jimmy Johnson.
thank you. Jimmy's
Jimmy.
great. I love Jimmy Johnson. He'll be mid-pack.
Yeah.
Anthony Alfredo, he'll be mid-pack.
I mean, Truex isn't missing a race. Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
going from Phoenix, season finale to
Something
season
he's done
opener.
countless times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's he's not full time, but like you said, he's not going to be missing a beat at all. It's going to be the same Truex that we saw last year, you know.
And then finally, Anthony Alfredo. I think he'll be fine in that car. That team's a good underdog car to root for.
Yeah.
Whether it was Brendan Gaughan, Noah Gragson, and now Anthony Alfredo in that car, I think everyone likes to see the Beard team there, and
Best motorsport team name, one of them. It's in the running.
one of them, not Visa Cash App Racing
Stop,
Bulls
please.
F1 team.
Stop, please. No.
But yeah, this car will be semi-competitive. With it Daytona being just pretty much a random draw
Yeah.
of okay, who's gonna be fastest, and then who's gonna be in the 500 or in the duels to get in. I remember seeing a clip of last year's where J.J. Yaley straight pulled out of line. He was ahead of Jimmy Johnson in the same line. He pulled out of line near the end, and Jimmy passed him by staying in the draft. Just random stuff like that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, any one of these four could be getting in, and any one of these four could be going home.
Yeah. What would be your prediction? I guess is what I'm.
Well, you have the four that we listed there. We have J.J. Yaley in the 44, and then we have Castro Neves, who's guaranteed. And I think Castroneves is going to wind up using that spot. That's my way too early prediction. That's
You think
what
he's going to use the 41st
that
spot?
41st spot.
Really?
Yeah, just the unfamiliarity with him.
That's
I think.
fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think Yaley's going to wind up missing the show again, and then you'll have the Truex, Johnson, Allgaier, and Alfredo. 4. I think that's my way too early prediction. We'll see how that changes. We'll see how the cars roll out, and we'll see who else shows up. We might see Rick Ware. We might see the 66 team. Who knows?
I wouldn't doubt Elio Castroneves to be a quick learner in that car, but yeah, if you had to choose, I'm not going to argue against that logical thinking there.
I think Elio will make it. JJ's out. Anthony Alfredo should make it. I'm probably going to put too many in. Truex and Allgaier for sure. Jimmy should make as long as he doesn't, do anything stupid on the clashes. Or the duel, excuse me. Yeah, so some of what you said, Andrew.
Yeah.
All right, and then we got some quick hits to cover before the show wraps up. Kyle Larson won the Chili Bowl. We all watched that together. Fun race.
What did you guys think?
It was my first time ever really watching a dirt track race of that magnitude. I think I told you guys that I had been to one dirt race before in my life in Watsonville, California. Midget cars as well. It was a good time. I enjoyed it, but it was my only experience with that discipline, really. So watching not only the main event, but the qualifying that we saw, the other races, it's a fun event.
Yeah.
Like it's unique.
Yeah.
Not just is it a dirt race, it's indoors. It's a very interesting environment, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I really did.
Yeah, I did too. Being my first dirt race, it was weird seeing Larson run over a car and then run over the wall, tear part of the sign down,
Right?
Yeah.
and still win.
Yeah.
You don't see that in really. Well, you did see that in IndyCar one year for the Nashville Street Circuit with Marcus Ericsson running over the back of Sebastian Bourdais and going on to win.
Right.
But you don't. That's not something you see every day.
No.
Yeah. A lot of skill with Larson. You can't deny it. A little bit of luck as well helped him win that Chili Bowl. Dason Persley gave him a good run for his money, but in the end, Larson walked away with his, I believe, third Chili Bowl victory.
In a row, right?
No.
Not in a row.
Not in a row. Because Tanner... oh, crap. I'm forgetting. I'll come back. Logan Seavey had the past 2.
Yeah, that's right. And you say it does take a lot of skill, Ethan, and we found that out the hard way as we attempted to,
a lot of skill, a little bit of luck.
to drive the same cars on iRacing.
Yeah, Eric
y-
let us use
yeah.
his sim rig
Anytime.
in iRacing. Andrew and I don't think we have a future in dirt.
We'll put you
racing.
back on pavement again if you guys come back.
Yeah.
We'll do some more pavement laps.
You spun on the straightaway where
Took some skill.
Did you flip it?
I did flip it.
You
yeah.
did flip it.
I did flip it.
I did not flip it, but I did spin out pretty much every corner.
Yeah.
So we are not very good.
It's
I'll admit
not
that.
as easy as it looks, I was trying to channel like my inner Doc Hudson. It just wasn't working.
You are not floating like a Cadillac, and the bee stung you instead.
yeah,
That's a
pretty
good way to
much.
put it.
Pretty much what happened there. Couple more pieces of news before we have to get out of here. We got some news on the CW NASCAR Xfinity Series coverage. Andrew, you're tapped into that. What's the news with that?
You got Adam Alexander covering, or as the play-by-play broadcaster, he's going to be doing Prime and Turner play-by-play as well. And then alongside him will be Jamie McMurray, who's done some Xfinity work with Fox and some studio work as well. And Parker Kligerman, who's been a kind of a roving pit reporter guy for NBC in the Cup side, just stepped out of the car on Xfinity, and now he's doing this. I think this is potential to be a really great booth, but it'll be only as good as Adam Alexander, because that's the big question mark there. He's done great with a lot of people, but rotating in and out. But his style at the end of the day is not really my favorite. We'll see how we'll see how he can do.
Yeah. I'm gonna skip over what's next on the document to talk about something that lines up a little bit more with talking about broadcast booths. The NASCAR channel is set to launch this month on Tubi. I don't know if I know anyone that has like a Tubi subscription, but if you do have a Tubi subscription, or if this makes you want to get a Tubi subscription, this is a thing that's happening. NASCAR channel on Tubi. It's a cool idea. I like the idea. I don't know how many people are gonna be tuning in.
I think it's free. It's completely free, isn't it?
I think they were on Chip Ganassi's cars one year. I want to say. I could be very wrong. I think it was the year before closing, actually. I might fact check myself later on that, but yeah, we'll see. I think
use YouTube for my old races still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's all right. Last week I threw a pen at our guest because he messed with me.
Yeah, Morgan Tremmel.
The one and only.
Shout out Morgan. We'll tell you after we're done what he said to be
to get a pen
thrown.
I think it was this pin right here, so I should put that down. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, check it out. Unless if you don't.
By the last 10 minutes, show's devolving.
Mm-hmm.
We have Kurt Busch. He's going to be making his racing return at the Race of Champions. That's cool to see, I suppose. I don't know. Andrew,
yeah,
you put that in the document. You looking forward to that?
Well, I'm probably not going to watch the Race of Champions, but this is interesting because Kurt Busch, he had a crash at qualifying in Pocono, I believe 2022, where he was forced to sit out the rest of the year. Hadn't raced since because he had a concussion. And now that he's racing, it's good to see him. I'd like to see him hopefully get a final shot somewhere, just to get a proper farewell, or maybe at Las Vegas or somewhere, something like that.
Home track.
I don't know what you think, Eric.
Yeah, there's not much to think. It'll be interesting how he does after being out since Pocono. I like your idea. He deserves a final farewell just with how swift his exit kind of felt. He really didn't get that last ride into the sunset. I think he deserves that, and I don't know if he'll get it though.
Yeah,
it would be awesome to see. Wonder if he runs the Ricky Bobby livery again with the cheetah or tiger, whatever that is. I would like to see that. I think that would be pretty funny. And then last,
and also have his
ahead.
Phoenix Racing Rage era. just pull up any old Jimmy Spencer clip, and you'll find some content there.
Kurt Busch seemed to be the most unhappy man on the planet at certain times. Well, in the driver's seat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We should do someone should do something where you need to find out who you can make the angriest out of Kurt Busch, Yuki Tsunoda, and Isaac Hadjar.
That would be interesting.
Andrew, get on top of that. Last piece. That's your homework, Andrew.
Homework. Nice.
Last piece of NASCAR news, not really NASCAR news, kind of NASCAR news, ARCA news. Cletus McFarland, famous internet personality, who I was very disappointed to learn isn't actually named Cletus McFarland. His birth name is Garrett Mitchell.
Oh.
I was so disappointed to learn that.
I actually didn't know that.
Cletus McFarland is going to be racing ARCA at Daytona with Rhett Jones Racing. Not gonna lie, I don't really know anything about ARCA. That doesn't mean a lot to me, but I think it's cool that like Cletus McFarland, who just started off doing, I mean, for lack of time, I'm just gonna say like doing dumb things on YouTube, has parlayed that into, you know, getting into more serious racing, now doing ARCA. Like that's kind of cool. I don't follow Cletus McFarland or anything really. I just see stuff every now and then, but still, even like on the outside, I can look at that and be like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's really it. We'll see how he does. That Rhett Jones car should be decent. That's the car Frankie Muniz was in. So maybe a couple years from now they'll get another new star.
So
of some
yeah,
sort.
that's just the former like
the all-star car, but it's celebrities.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, thank you for coming on.
Thanks
Where
for
can the
having me, guys.
people
This was
find
fun.
you on the World Wide Web?
You can find me on Twitter at, I can tell you, I believe it's list_Eric. List_Eric. I have an Instagram. It's private. That's just Eric List. I'm more active on Twitter if you want some media stuff at list_Eric.
All right.
Yeah. Fuel for Thought, which is earlier in the days on Tuesdays. That's your NASCAR focused show on Blaze Radio. On social media as well. You can follow them there.
Yes. not as active on the Twitter, but it's still there.
Yeah.
That's just Fuel for Thought as well. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
I'll come back anytime you want.
We'll see you all in the next episode.
Andrew, give them a preview for what's happening next week. You've been excited about that.
We are going to do an F1 driver draft. We're going to have the Little Bill in action, and we'll have a round table with people. So look forward to that, and we'll see you in the next episode as more Blaze programming is coming right up after this.
See ya.
To me, it looked like he actually lost the wheel.
The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect.
Wheel on the track.
Did you leave the wheel loose?
You picked the fine time to leave me loose, wheel.